Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. We are looking at Volume 3 of Doctrines of Salvation by President Joseph Fielding Smith. And Chapter 1 starts like this. Second coming will be tomorrow. I did a video about this once, but I was reminded of this quote because lately we've been talking about the 7 seals. We've been talking about the 7 trumpets. And so I wanted to read this again and a few other short sections here. Day of the Lord is near. Some now living may see second coming. So I want to read that. And then I want to make a new spreadsheet. I haven't made it yet, but and I guess I'm kind of surprised, but maybe not surprised at the same time, that I haven't made a spreadsheet to really dive deep into signs and events and things that could fulfill the different events that are supposed to happen during the 7 seals and then during the 7 trumpets. But I'm going to do that. But in this video, what I want to do is not read about the 7 seals. Remember, each seal corresponds to a 1,000-year period of Earth's history. And I will get into that. But in this video, I want to read what happens with the 7 angels, and the 7 angels are in the 7th seal. There's endless speculation about what these different things mean. Some people will tell you with certainty that we haven't seen this and we haven't seen that. And I feel like that's a mistake, because how do you know? It's according to what you picture in your mind. Some people are very sure, and I guess that's fine, but I follow the brethren, and unless they officially declare something, I'm not going to say that something has happened or that it has. Although there's no problem with looking at, like I said, different catastrophes and thinking and wondering, oh, could this have fulfilled this? I tend to think that these 7 angels, for the most part, are just general, like a general uptick in different disasters, probably since the beginning of this dispensation, maybe even more especially since the dedication of the Solid Temple when the angels of destruction were released, because there's definitely been an uptick in warfare and destruction and disasters and plagues and everything else since that time. But I'm going to make a spreadsheet, and we're going to consider different possibilities for the fulfillment of these 7 angels and the 7 seals. And I would refer you for now, go to the Institute Student Manual, chapter 54 for Revelation chapters 4 through 11. And they already have a couple tables here. One for the 7 angels. They go into Elder Bruce R. McConkey's books, The Millennial Messiah, and Doctrinal New Testament Commentary. And what he proposes could be the fulfillment of these different things, or what they may look like. Both for the 7 angels, and then if you scroll up, there's another one for the 7 seals. So I'm going to take his words into consideration. I'm also going to look for news articles with different things that may have been fulfillment or maybe part of the fulfillment of these things. So it's going to be fun. Excuse me. It's going to be exciting. But let's start with this. So Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 3, Chapter 1, Second Coming will be tomorrow. I was asked not long ago if I could tell when the Lord would come. I answered yes, and I answer yes now. I know when he will come. He will come tomorrow. We have his word for it. Let me read it. Behold, now it is called today, until the coming of the Son of Man, and verily it is a day of sacrifice and a day for the tithing of my people. For he that is tithed shall not be burned at his coming. That's from Doctrine and Covenants, I think section 64. People refer to that as fire insurance. It's interesting, though, that tithing is associated with abiding the day, abiding the burning, not being destroyed with the wicked. So if you're having tithing issues, I would probably try and work on that. Okay, continuing. Now there is a discourse sufficient on tithing. For after today cometh the burning. This is speaking after the manner of the Lord. For verily I say, tomorrow all the proud and they that do wickedly shall be as stubble, and I will burn them up. For I am the Lord of hosts, and I will not spare any that remain in Babylon. So the Lord is coming, I say, tomorrow. Then let us prepare. Elder Orson F. Whitney used to write about the Saturday evening of time. We are living in the Saturday evening of time. This is the 6th day, now drawing to its close. Now, remember, he wrote this a long time ago, before the year 2000. When we go to the Institute Student Manual, and it's talking about the different seals, they roughly correspond to our millennia. So you have the 6th seal, which is about 1000 AD to 2000 AD. Elder Bruce R. McConkie has talked about this. And I also showed you a couple videos ago how both President Nelson and President Oaks have both recently said that it has been more than 6,000 years. I'm of the opinion that we're done with the 6th seal. That's my opinion. I know that some of you think, no, there has to be this. We haven't seen that. Well, that's your opinion. And I've talked about the 144,000. I have a playlist for that. I'm going to get into it deeper in coming videos. We're going to go into it deeper. But anyway, I go with that. Okay, continuing. We are living in the Saturday evening of time. This is the 6th day, now drawing to its close, when the Lord says it is today until his coming. That, I think, is what he has in mind. For he shall come in the morning of the Sabbath, or 7th day of the earth's temporal existence, to inaugurate the millennial reign and to take his rightful place as King of kings and Lord of lords, to rule and reign upon the earth as it is his right. So really, you guys, now, being in the year 2025, I think the second coming is today. I think it is today. Satan has usurped power and authority from the beginning, and men have followed him, but his day is drawing to its close, and the day is dawning for Israel, for Zion, for the universal establishment of truth, when the earth shall be cleansed of all impurity, all wickedness, for when Christ comes, that which is wicked cannot remain. Okay, the next section, day of the Lord is near. It never surprised me how many people that are members of the church contradict this. It especially when we have a prophet like President Nelson, who continually says that it's near, and there's so much that he has said. I'm not going to go over all that, but I have so many quotes from him, and also other general authorities. It's pretty clear that it's near, but let's just remember that President Nelson has explicitly said that time is running out. He said that in the April 2019 General Conference. And then for the FSY 2022 pre-recorded message by him, he said that we're in the last half of the 9th inning. You guys, stop kicking against the pricks. Stop. It's happening. It's happening. Listen to the prophets. This one is President Joseph Fielding Smith. The day of the Lord is near. I believe that the coming of the Son of God is not far away. How far, I do not know, but I do know that it is over 100 years nearer than it was when Elijah the prophet came to the prophet Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery in the Kirtland Temple on the 3rd day of April, 1836. Elijah's words point to the fact that we are that much nearer. And this ancient prophet declared that by the restoration of those keys, we should know that the great and dreadful day of the Lord is near, even at our doors. The world is rapidly coming to its end. That is the end of the days of wickedness. When it is fully ripe in iniquity, the Lord will come in the clouds of heaven to take vengeance on the ungodly, for his wrath is kindled against them. Do not think that he delayeth his coming. I repeat, do not think that he delayeth his coming. Many of the signs of his coming have been given. So we may, if we will, know that the day is even now at our doors. And then here's the last section that I'm going to read. Some now living may see the second coming. The day of the coming of the Lord is near. I do not know when. I'm not looking, however, upon the coming of the Son of Man, as I looked once upon the day when men would speak from city to city and through the land without the aid of wires, and would be heard, as something that may come in some far distant time. Because I sincerely believe it will come in the very day when some of us who are here today, April 5th, 1936, will be living upon the face of the earth. President Nelson fits that description. He was born in 1924. And then President Oaks, let's see, him and President Nelson are 10 years apart. So I guess he would have been born about 1934, something like that. So this would apply to him as well. Okay, continuing. We'll be living upon the face of the earth. The day is close at hand. It behooves us as Latter-day Saints to set our houses in order, to keep the commandments of God, to turn from evil to righteousness, if it is necessary, and serve the Lord in humility, in faith, and prayer. All right. Well, I agree with him. He is a prophet of God. President Nelson is a prophet of God. I listen to the prophets rather than my own wisdom in reasoning and understanding. Not that we shouldn't think and ponder, but ultimately we should defer to what the prophets say. Okay, so Revelation chapter 8. This starts out with the opening of the seventh seal, as you can see right here. I'm not going to cover the seals in this video. We're going to be talking about the seven angels. And I just want to read what it says to get the gears turning in all of our collective heads. And if you feel like there's something that you have to share that is a fulfillment or a partial fulfillment of these different angels and their trumpets, then feel free to send it my way. I can't guarantee I'm going to share it on the channel, but feel free to send me an email. You can also put it in the comments, but it's usually better if you send me an email. And I'll try and just pick out the best, and we'll put it on a spreadsheet, and we'll get like a big picture of how these things could have already happened or are currently happening. So, okay, the first one, okay? Verse 7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. Now, really quick, what's really interesting about this, hail and fire mingled with blood, I've done, I think, a couple videos about a story where there was actually hail and fire. It was like a wildfire, one that was large enough to produce its own weather system, and it produced hail. And there's a picture of hail on the forest floor along with fire around it. So I'm probably going to include that as I make this spreadsheet. And then obviously there was blood. There were animals and stuff dying. People, I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and find it. But okay. Verse 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. Verse 10. And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of the waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. Many people have pointed out, let me just save you some time. I'll cover this once I get to this part, that wormwood is the name of Chernobyl. That Chernobyl means wormwood. I think that's what it is. And so a lot of people speculate that the Chernobyl incident in Ukraine was fulfillment of this, and I mean, sure, why not? Um, it's a nuclear power plant. It's not a star. Uh, but I mean, who knows? Maybe that's right. Verse 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars, so as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the three angels, which are yet to sound. Okay, chapter 9. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given, excuse me, to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, there come 2 woes more hereafter. Oh yeah, I guess I'll have to include that, the 3 woes. Elder Bruce R. McConkie explains what those are. I think a lot of people know or have it's a common speculation that what John may be seeing here when he's describing this like weird scene is that he could be seeing modern warfare with tanks and helicopters and other, machines of war. So who knows? Verse 13, and the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the 6th angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, so that's 200 million, which, by the way, that number has actually come up a couple times. Sister Nelson brought that up in the Alberta, British Columbia devotional. I don't know that she was necessarily referring to this, but this is one place in the scriptures where we come across the number 200 million. And I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. And these 3 by these 3 was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and their heads, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of their works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see, nor hear, nor talk, neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. So again, here's more images of war and potentially tanks and airplanes and whatever. There is another scripture. I'm not sure if we're about to read it, but that talks about the river Euphrates drying up and how that's essentially the river drying up is what initiates the battle of Armageddon. And I've done videos about that, how the Euphrates has actually been drying up, like literally. So, and it's interesting because it's coming at a time when we have this war in Israel that still isn't over. And I'll be interested to see where things go whenever the United States takes over the Gaza Strip. And it's still unknown what's going to happen with the West Bank, or as Israel would call it, Judea and Samaria. But from what I've seen, it seems like there is an effort to exercise sovereignty over that piece of land. So if the Gaza Strip and the West Bank no longer exist as we know it, maybe that's going to lead to this final war as the Euphrates River is drying up. Anyway, okay, skipping to Revelation chapter 11, I'm just going to read this because this goes, like, I had to skip because it kind of goes for a while. I don't want this video to go too long, but just to give you kind of a rough overview of the seven angels. So we'll go to Revelation chapter 11, verse 15. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. And then it goes on a bit. So that's what you can expect probably out of the next few videos. Let's dig into it. Let's see if we can make sense of it. Let's see what prophets and apostles have said about it. Let's look for news stories that could cover the fulfillment or partial fulfillment of these things. So again, I don't know that they are strictly in order. I feel like they could all happen concurrently. I don't know for sure. Some people are very, very literal in the way that they read things, which I'm not sure that you can always be very literal with the book of Revelation. There's clearly a lot of symbolism. I'm not really of the opinion that you can, take the seven angels with their trumpets like a checklist and be like, okay, now we're on number 3. Now we're on number 4. I mean, maybe. And then the other part is it could be that we haven't seen any of the angels yet, and it all happens in a very short period of time, say a day or a week or a month or maybe a year. So that's always a possibility. So I think that we just have to be flexible. But in the meantime, let's ponder this and put a spreadsheet together and see what we come up with. But that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.